Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the Bullpen Podcast. Happy Sunday, everyone. Happy May 21st. Hope everyone's having a good evening so far. My name is Adam Kunos. I am the host of the Bullpen Podcast. You can follow me on Twitter at Kunos19. You can also follow the podcast on Twitter as well at the Bullpen Pod. Also, don't forget to head over to our YouTube page. Click and subscribe to our YouTube page at the Bullpen Podcast for all of your latest live shows and upcoming videos. We are sponsored by Fanatics. Head on over to Fanatics using the Linktree link in our Twitter bio for everything Major League Baseball, including your Mother's Day official on-field caps, Memorial Day hats, and upcoming Father's Day on-field caps as well. So don't forget to head over to Fanatics for all your authentic Major League Baseball gear by Nike and New Era Cap. How's everyone doing? Once again, my name is Adam Kunis, and I welcome you back to the Bullpen Podcast. We were off this past week. We did have some friends in town from California and Boston, so we've been hanging with them all week, been going to the parks here at Disney, just having a fabulous time. But we are back. If you watched our last show, I want to shout out to Nick Morawski of the Lockdown Podcast for joining us 2 weeks ago, and it was a nice chat. We had a blast just talking all things Chicago White Sox. Definitely laying out our frustrations and how the team has performed up until then. But as of the last home series, they went 5-1 in their last home series. The first sweep of the Kansas City Royals this season. Series win over the Cleveland Guardians as well. So they had an absolutely fantastic home series. So we're going to be chatting about some teams that are starting to heat up and some teams that are starting to cool off after a hot start in April. But first, we're going to talk about the 2023 City Connect jerseys. Now, we're not going to go into too much details about the City Connect jerseys as we are working on a video to where I'm going to sit down with my wife and we are going to critique all the City Connect jerseys that have been released up to this date. So far, this season, the Atlanta Braves, Cincinnati Reds, Seattle Mariners, and Texas Rangers have all come out with new City Connect jerseys. I will say regarding some of these City Connect jerseys, some of them are very impressive. I am actually happy with some of these jerseys and how they have come out. The Braves, I think, is a great throwback to some of their throwback jerseys they wore back in the 70s. Some have been a little unimpressive. I do like that the Seattle Mariners are throwing it back to their Seattle Pilot days, when the Seattle Pilots were in that one done season in '69 in Seattle. You have Cincinnati Reds, which I had to do a little more digging into to get a little more on their City Connectors, and Texas Rangers. I like the concept. I'm just not a fan of the two-tone jersey pant top. I think if you have a colored jersey, you need to go colored pants or just basic white pants with that as well. But those are the four teams that have unveiled City Connect jerseys up to this date. The last two teams that are still coming out with City Connect jerseys are the Pittsburgh Pirates and Baltimore Orioles. Now, we have seen some leaks on Twitter about what these teams are going to reveal in the upcoming weeks, but we're not going to go into too much detail about this. So after these two teams do unveil their City Connect jerseys, that will be a total of 20 teams out of 30 Major League Baseball teams that have City Connect jerseys. What I think about this program so far is I am actually excited, and I still love the City Connect jersey. I think it's a great program that Nike and Major League Baseball has come out with. I think it's a great way for teams to kind of design a unique jersey that you don't necessarily see. Now, a lot of jerseys that we see are very team-based. You got your traditional home white jersey, either a pinstripe or a cream white jersey, traditional road gray jersey, or in some cases that some teams have dropped their road gray jerseys, like the Mariners and Rays, and gone for a dark alternate jersey. And then you have a assortment of color alternate jerseys. You have some throwback jerseys that mix in as alternate jerseys, but I like what the City Connect jerseys have to offer for Major League Baseball. I think it's a unique program. I love seeing how teams are just diving into their rich team history, their rich city history, tying in communities into these jerseys as well. Some of the videos that they've done with the unveiling have just been absolutely fantastic. So it's fun to see these, and I hope that Major League Baseball and Nike continue moving forward this going forward. And I'm excited to see the last 10 teams that come out their City Connect jerseys in 2024 and 2025. Now, I have heard a rumbling, and I'm not confirming that this is true or not, that some teams will revamp their City Connect jerseys. We have seen some tweaks made here and there. For instance, the Arizona Diamondbacks, when they first came out, had a tan jersey with white pants. They've gone to an all-tan look, introducing tan pants back in 2022. The Dodgers, who had an all-blue jersey, have dropped the blue pants, gone to white pants with their City Connect jerseys. So we have seen some minor tweaks going forward, but I am still happy with what we're seeing, and I'm excited to see what Major League Baseball and Nike are doing going forward. Now, something that is kind of new for 2023, and that's something I am excited that is coming up, is Major League Baseball and home run celebrations. Now, we have seen an assortment of team home run celebrations throughout this season so far. And something I like about this is that teams are getting creative with this jersey. Now, if you're watching this show live right now, you can see I have a couple images of teams that are doing unique home run celebrations. The Angels are breaking out a samurai hat. The Red Sox have inflatable dumbbells. The Nationals, which I think is incredibly creative, are bringing out a powder wig because they are based in D.C. And the Nationals, some of those celebrations are very unique. The Brewers, as much as I'm not a big fan of the Cheesehead, I think it's a very unique celebration where they're breaking out the Cheesehead, kind of tying them into with the Green Bay Packers and the Cheesehead, the Cheese Date. The White Sox have come out with a mobster jacket because Chicago, tied in with a mob city. They come out with the mobster jacket, the mob hat, which I think is absolutely fantastic. The jacket is an incredible design, and it's just been I think a hit for White Sox fans. Speaking as myself, I love it. I think it brings a lot of energy to the team. The Mariners, I think they absolutely knocked it out of the park, bringing a trident into the dugout. Obviously, with Seattle Mariners being more of us out on the West Coast by the Pacific Ocean, the trident just kind of blows everything away. It is hilarious. It is fun to see. A couple of others that I've seen around, the Minnesota Twins have a Gone Fishing vest. Obviously, the Twins play in Minnesota, land with 10,000 lakes, so fishing is definitely a big thing up in Minnesota. So what I like about the home run celebrations is that all these teams are bringing out unique celebrations. I mean, we saw the Boston Red Sox one year, they brought a shopping cart. They put after someone hit a home run, they got in a shopping cart and they were pushed down the dugout, high-fiving each other. You have teams that are just doing awesome, unique celebrations. I think the Blue Jays were the first ones to bring out a home run jacket, which I absolutely love. They had all the different nationalities on the jacket, kind of tied in with their team. I've heard they have retired that jacket, which is sad because I thought that jacket was absolutely fantastic. And that's something I like that baseball is doing. I like that baseball is going with a home run celebration, allowing these teams to bring in these home run celebrations. It's just something that is unique. It's something that I think Major League Baseball should keep allowing. I want to see teams get a little more creative with some of these home run celebrations. I just want to see some more unique celebrations. I think what we're seeing so far is just the tip of the iceberg. So many other things that we've seen. The Pittsburgh Pirates have a sword that they bring out. Oakland Athletics, I've seen they bring out Thor's hammer during the celebration. The Orioles, they bring out like some sort of like beer bong or something. They bring out like something where they're just, it looks like a beer bong. I have no idea what the hell they're doing out in Baltimore. The Atlanta Braves, they brought out a big hat. It was a giant version of their Braves hat. I've heard that has been pulled. I think for some reason they got in trouble for that. I'm not 100% sure, but I like what Major League Baseball is doing. I like that we're seeing all these fun celebrations, unique celebrations, and players are loving this celebration. You see some of these awesome celebration poses that you're seeing throughout games, and I think fans look forward to this the entire time. I mean, we saw the home run chain a couple times. We've seen some unique celebrations, some unique player-to-player celebrations. So I think this is amazing. I want to see baseball keep doing this, and it's something I am loving. So I'm just going to recap some of the celebrations that are some of my favorite. The samurai hat, when Shohei Ohtani hits a run, it just fits the description. He is a samurai when it comes to pitching and batting out in Anaheim. The inflatable dumbbells, I think it's hilarious. just as you guys see them golden inflatable dumbbells. The Nationals, the Power Wig in the nation's capital is just hilarious. I love it. Nationals, out of three are here. I think you have the best one, so congrats on one of your best celebrations. Brewers with the Cheesehead, again, it ties in with Wisconsin, ties in with the Green Bay Packers, so that is very creative. I am a huge fan of the White Sox mobster jacket. I think it's just hilarious, and Jake Perker in that picture just makes it look absolutely fantastic. I mean, you guys seen Luis Robert in it. Eloy Jimenez has been in that one where he does his high mom celebration, just kind of breaks the mold. It is absolutely hilarious. The Triton, though, for me, something about Triton. I mean, you hit a home run, you just celebrate with a fucking Triton. That's just absolutely hilarious. The Gone Fishing jacket, I'll have to see it a couple more times. I think it's creative with the land of 10,000 lakes up in Minnesota, and it kind of does tie in with their state. I'll see it a couple more times. I like the concept. I like the design about it, but I don't think it's going to grow on me yet. All right. So as we're going into May, we're going to talk about a division by division breakdown. So what we saw in April is we saw a bunch of these teams jump out to very quick, hot starts. I mean, you had the Pittsburgh Pirates, Texas Rangers, Baltimore Orioles, Arizona Diamondbacks, Miami Marlins, Giants. They jumped out to these incredible good starts. I mean, the Giants did cool off pretty quickly after their start, but we saw some of these teams jump out to incredible starts, and we saw some teams that were going to be expected to compete jump out to cold start. We're going to go by division breakdown. I'm going to give you a recap of what I've seen in each division, and we're going to start with the American League Central Division. Now, right now, as the standings are up to date, the Minnesota Twins hold a 3.5 game lead over the Detroit Tigers. Now, if you're comparing divisions as a whole, the American League Central is the weakest division. Now, 2 weeks ago, I spoke to Nick Morawski about this, and he said, yeah, this division is weak. This is a winnable division if you're any team in this playing in this division right now. Right now, the Twins sit at 25-22, and out of all the first place teams have the worst record of all the teams that are currently holding first place. Then you got the Tigers, who sit at 20-24, the Guardians, who are 20-26, the White Sox at 19-29, and the Royals at the bottom at 14-34. Between the five teams, there's an 11.5 game gap in between these teams. So right now, the Tigers are trailing by 3.5 games, the Guardians by 4.5, the Sox by 6.5, and then the Royals by 11.5. What I think about this division, again, it is the weakest division in Major League Baseball. No disrespect to any of the teams in the American League Central, but this division is the worst division in baseball. It's just not as competitive what we saw back in 2020, 2021, when the White Sox just kind of ran away with that division. This division has been known to be competitive. Yes, the Twins are holding this division lead right now, but this is something that we saw them do last year where they got to this incredible start. They held the division for 3 or 4 months, and then all of a sudden the Guardians just snuck right in and took the division away. Now we're seeing teams like the White Sox. The White Sox just came off a 5-1 homestand. I said they beat the Guardians. They actually took 2 out of 3 from the Reds and then swept the Royals this past weekend. The White Sox are starting to play better, so we are seeing this team start to play a little better. They are 6-4 in their last 10. They do have a sweep in their hands. Now they got the Guardians coming up, so this is a good time for the White Sox to make up ground in this division. They are coming into a crucial part of their schedule, and I am pulling up their schedule because they are playing a good chunk of division opponents. So as I'm looking into this series right now, and I'm sorry, I misquoted. They did play the Guardians this past week. 2 out of 3 from the Guardians, sweep of Kansas City. They go to Cleveland for 3 games, and they have a 4-game series versus Detroit before they come back home to face the Angels. So they got 7 more games against the AL Central, and this is a good time for the White Sox to make up ground in this division, to pick up games in this division, to try to crawl the way back to 500. They're playing a Guardians team that just lost the series to the Mets. Then they got a Tiger team that isn't playing as well. They're kind of slowing down as of late. So this is a good time for the White Sox to pick up games in this division. Now, the Tigers and Guardians, it is very hard to figure out what these two teams are doing. They have been very inconsistent. The Guardians did start pretty good. They've kind of fallen off in the last couple of weeks. Tigers, again, they underperformed last year. We all thought with AJ Hinch at the helm, they were going to be a competitive team. That was not the case, so they are kind of falling apart right there. So the AL Central, again, a division that is clearly still up for grabs by, I would say, the Twins, the Tigers, and the Guardians, and the White Sox. I think these four teams are going to be clawing away for this division. It's weird to say the Tigers are going to be in this division, knowing their track record. They haven't been to the playoffs since the late 2010s when they had their World Series run in 2013. But that is the state of the AL Central. Now, moving on to the AL East, and this division is the best division in baseball, in my opinion. You have every team sitting above 500 right now. You have the best team in baseball in the Tampa Bay Rays, who are sitting at 34-14 right now. The Baltimore Orioles are I would say the second best team in the league right now. They're sitting at 31-16. The Yankees, who have been kind of just floating around right now, they're 29-20. Red Sox are 26-21, and the Blue Jays are 25-22. So you have all teams in this freaking division above 500. That tells you how good each team is in this division. I mean, we'll start at the top. The Rays, they're just blowing their competition away. They have just destroyed anyone that has come into the trop. They have destroyed everyone that has gone on the road as well. The Rays are just playing absolute phenomenal baseball. I'm going to pull up their split stats right here, folks, because I want to dive into just how great these teams are playing. You got the Orioles, who are just playing fantastic baseball. We know they had their incredible second half run last year, almost made it to a wild card spot, and then just kind of faltered at the end of the season. But going into the Rays, they have a 124 run differential in the positive. They are 21-4 at home. So if you talk about a great home field advantage at the Trop, put aside how awful that stadium is just to get there and just how bad the stadium is as well. The Rays are making that a hard place to go into and play. I know personally the White Sox, when they went down to play, they had a hard time scoring runs on there and they got swept out of that building. The Rays, when you get them away from the Trop, they're just a little average team. They're only 3 games above 500 at 13-10, but they are still one of the better teams when it comes to playing at home. Baltimore, they're 15-8 at home, 16-8 on the road, so they're very competitive both at home and on the road. Yankees are 16-10 at home, 13-10 on the road, so they're again playing similar baseball at home and road. Red Sox, again, 15-11 at home, only 11-10 at the road, so they're a better team at home, just a so-so team at home. And then the Blue Jays, they're the only team in the division that are playing kind of under 500 when it comes to road baseball. They're 13-9 at the Rogers Center. They're 12-13 when they're not playing in Canada. So, again, this division, I believe, is going to be the toughest division in baseball. But I think the Rays have the better chance of winning the division as of right now. I did pick them to kind of be in the playoffs as a wild card. I did not expect them to be this good coming into the league. So AL East, just a powerhouse division from top to bottom. Now we're going to go out west to the American League, where we have another surprise team that is playing right now in the Texas Rangers. Now the Rangers are playing incredible baseball. They're 29-17 right now. They're 2 games above the Astros, 7-3 in their last 10 games. They have a 108 run differential. They're 16-8 at home, 13-9 on the road. They have a series coming up against Pittsburgh in the next week. So the Rangers, for all the faults they had last year, they're playing fantastic baseball. Houston, they're still playing. They're still a good team. They're 27-19. Then you got the Angels at 25-23. The Mariners, who are underperforming still to this day after they had a fantastic season last year. They're only 22-24. And then you got the Athletics, who are dealing with a bunch of in-house messes right now with the potential move to Vegas coming up in the next 3 seasons. They're only 10-38. They're 20 games above behind 500 with the worst run differential in the American League. I believe they have the worst run differential, and yes, they have the worst run differential in Major League Baseball at negative 168. So again, that is not a good thing to have going forward. But as this division as a whole, it is a I'll say it's a 3-team race right now between the Rangers, the Astros, and the Angels. Now, last year we saw the Angels do this last year where they got up to this incredible hot start, but then they went on this horrible 13-game losing streak and just kind of dropped out of the race altogether. The Rangers were never in it to begin with. They just kind of underperformed all season. It was a Astros-Mariners race last year. But now you got the Rangers, who are just playing incredible baseball right now. They got 108 run differential. Excuse me. They're 16-8 at home, 13-9 on the road. And they have a 3-game winning streak going on right now. So they are playing incredibly good baseball. Astros are playing good baseball, but they have some questions on them. Jose Abreu has not performed to what he is known for when he was with the White Sox. He has been underperforming all year. You have a pitching staff that just lost one of their key starting pitchers to Tommy John. So they're going to be kind of dealing with some pitching issues going on. You have questions about if this is Dusty Baker's last year after winning the World Series last year. Would he come back for a second season or for a third season? So, top to bottom in the American League right now, if I had to rank these divisions, American League East, definitely your top division. AL West, your second division. Excuse me. And American League Central, the worst division in the American League. Flipping the script over to the National League, we're going to talk about the American League East first. The Atlanta Braves currently sit 5 games above the New York Mets at 29-17. The Mets are 25-23. The Marlins are actually playing 500 baseball right now at 24-23. The defending champion National League champions Phillies are 22-24, and the Nationals are sitting at 20-27. So they're actually playing above expectation right now, above what they should be playing. And I'm going to go into some advanced stats here, see exactly what they're how we're going to break down versus each division. So when you look at the Braves versus the AL East right now, they are 10-13. That's the best record of all 5 teams in the NL East. All other teams are below 500. Except for the New York Mets, who are 1 game above 500 at 9-8. The Marlins are 8-12. The Phillies are only 1-2. They haven't really had a chance to dive into National League East opponents yet, but they will in the next few months. And then you have the Nationals, who sit at 5-8 in this division. Again, I picked the Braves to win this division. I believe it was the Braves. It was going to be a Braves-Mets division race this year. I knew that from the beginning with the amount of acquisitions that the Mets made over the offseason. I thought it was going to be these 2 teams tying for this division, but it seems that the Braves still own this division. I think as of this point, it is the Braves division to lose. The Mets right now, if they continue playing this way, they're going to be playing as a wild card team. And again, we saw what happened last year. We saw that devastating wild card loss to San Diego. The Mets do not want to find themselves in that situation again. They absolutely do not want to be in a situation to where they're playing in a wild card series. And you know what? I do not blame them. If you're the Mets, you are playing for that division. You want to get as hot as possible right now and to start getting some ground on the Braves and then putting distance between them so that way you have a comfortable lead going forward. Over to the National League Central, you got the Brewers in first place at 25-21, the Pirates in second place at 24-22, Cardinals are 21-27, Cubs at 20-26, and then the Reds at 19-27. Now, this division was kind of a little bit of a flop side. I said that the Cubs, the Cardinals, and the Brewers were all going to be competing for this division. And you know what? At the beginning, it did start like that. The Cubs got off to a pretty good start. They were playing above 500. But now they've kind of faltered below 500. They just designated Eric Hosmer for assignment after bringing him in on a 1-year deal. Not sure why they brought him in when they're getting designated for assignment just a month and a half. Again, if they're expecting him to perform at a higher level and he's just not performing, there's a reason to cut him. So I'm not going to dive into that, but we will dive into some players when we get closer to the trade line on who's been designated for assignment and who has been picked up by teams. Now, the Brewers are only 4 games above 500, so at no point I'm saying that this division is going to be a landlocked for this team. I did pick the Cardinals to win this division. I thought the Cardinals had a strong team going forward, but I was not expecting them to be under 500 team halfway through May, about 7 weeks into the season. But I was not expecting the Pittsburgh Pirates to be 2 games above 500 at this point, or just to be playing at the level that they've been playing. At one point, they were one of the best teams in the National League and in Major League Baseball. Again, they're starting to cool off a little. They're starting to kind of come back down to earth a little. But when you look at the run differential for this division, the Brewers, who are leading the division by the game, have a negative 2-run differential. The Pirates have a 17-plus run differential. The Cardinals are a plus 18. The Cubs are a plus 21. And then the Reds are at negative 43. So the 3 teams in the middle of this division have the best run differentials. Actually, the Cubs have the best run differential in this division at plus 21. And they find themselves 6 games under 500. So we know the offense is there in Chicago. It's just for some reason something is not clicking for them to get the wins that they need to kind of keep moving forward. So we'll see what happens going forward in this division. Again, this is going to be, I think, a 3-team race. Is it going to be a 2-team race as we get closer to June, July? Who knows? But I think that the Brewers, as of right now, the Brewers, Pirates, and I'll even throw the Cardinals in there, are going to be fighting for this division. Now, the last division we're going to talk about is the National League West, and we're going to, again, no surprise here, the Los Angeles Dodgers are 29-19, sitting a game and a half above the Arizona Diamondbacks, who are 27-20. Now, this is a shocker to me because the Diamondbacks, I didn't think were going to be competitive this year, but again, prove me wrong. I love it when teams go out and compete. I love seeing that the Diamondbacks are competing. Again, I am a Diamondbacks fan. I will support Diamondbacks gear throughout the season, but I am glad to see that they are over 500. They're a game and a half above. Sorry, back to the Dodgers. They have a 2.5 game lead in the wild card. They are 7-3 in their last 10 games. They have a plus 12 run differential. They're 14-10 at Chase. They're 13-10 on the road. They got a nice series against Philadelphia coming up. Then you got the Giants, who are 22-24. You got the Padres, who are underperforming, who are 21-26, and you got the Rockies at 19-28. Again, what's surprising me about the division is the Padres and Diamondbacks. These are 2 teams who I thought would be flipped in this division. I thought you would see the Padres at the top of this division kind of competing with the Dodgers. Once they got Tatis Jr. back, I thought that this team would start clicking, start hitting with Juan Soto in the lineup, with Manny Machado. I just thought they would start clicking and getting more run support going forward. Again, they sit at negative 8 run differential. But then you got the Diamondbacks, who have the bunch of young players on the team. I'm going to pull some of the names on this roster because you have a lot of players on this team that are performing to a higher level than what we thought they were going to be. I mean, you got Corbin Carroll, who's just absolutely crushing the ball right now. I'm going to pull up his stats right now because I think he is the biggest contributor to this team right now. So as I pull up the stats again, Arizona, one of those teams that are just overperforming, playing above expectations. Again, I love when a team plays above expectations. So again, right now, he is hitting 284, 7 home runs, 16 RBIs, 13 stolen bases, has an OPS of 889. So he is just absolutely crushing on the offense. I think he's one of the big reasons that the Diamondbacks are doing good. In his last 7 games, he is 6 for 21 with 2 home runs, 5 RBIs, only struck out 5 times, 3 stolen base. He's splitting a 286 average, 500 OPS on base percentage, and slugging 619. I'm looking at his last stats for against the Pirates. He recorded 3 hits, but his last game was his best game in my opinion. He only had 1 hit, but 1 home run, but 3 runs, driving in 3 runs as well. So again, just an absolutely fantastic player. So I credit the Diamondbacks for how well they're playing. I'm hoping they keep this up going forward because I love when the Diamondbacks compete. They are a great team when they are competitive. So again, I ranked the American League divisions. I'm going to rank the National League. I think it's going to be NL West, your top division, NL East, your second best, and again, the NL Central, that's kind of at the bottom. So, looking at all 6 divisions, the Central Division, both the American League and Central and National League, are at the basements. Those are just bad divisions overall. They're not as competitive as what we thought they can be. I hope they get competitive in the future. And then the East and West in both divisions, AL East in the American League is probably the best division in baseball. I'll give the NL West the second best division. I'll put the NL East above the AL West right now because I think it's just a little more competitive with the Braves and Mets going forward. But again, we are just about halfway through May. We're almost to June, if you can't believe it. Memorial Day is next weekend, and then we flip right into June. So we're going to be seeing some incredibly good baseball coming up in the next few weeks before we get into those summer days. All right, now we get to the part of the show to where we are going to pick series. So in our last show about 2 weeks ago, we did have 2 series that we're going to pick. We picked the White Sox and Royals, and then we had the Guardians and Tigers. Both my wife and I picked the White Sox to take the series in Kansas City along with Nick. The White Sox are absolutely embarrassed since Kansas City dropping 3 of 4. The Tigers surprised me, however. They did win the series in Cleveland, so I did pick up a game on my wife. So the current standings right now is I am 12 for 26 in series. My wife has a 2-game advantage on me at 14-26, but they do call the comeback, ladies and gentlemen. And our first series we're going into, I think this is going to be a good one. It is the Dodgers and Braves. They're going to be in Atlanta starting tomorrow. The first game, you got Stone versus Morton. Stone has a 9 ERA, no wins or losses yet. Morton is 5-3 with a 2.85 ERA. Game 2 is Dodgers have yet to announce their game 2 pitcher, but the Braves can go with Strider, who's 4-1 with a 2.96 ERA. And then for your finale, you have Gosselin, who's 2-1 with a 1.13 ERA, versus Elder, who's 3-0 with a 2.06 ERA. Now, these 2 teams, again, they sit at the top of their divisions respectively. As I mentioned, the Braves at 29-17, Dodgers at 29-19. So these teams on paper are pretty good record-wise. Dodgers, again, we know what they did last year. We know how well they played. We know how that lineup performs. Braves is no different. We know how well their pitching staff is. We know how well that lineup performed. Both teams have home run power. Both teams have stellar offense, stellar pitching. This is going to be a good series going forward, but we are kind of split on this series down here in this household, ladies and gentlemen. I am picking the Dodgers in this series. My wife is going with the Braves, so we're going to see how this series works out in the end. Our next series we're going to talk about the Red Sox versus Diamondbacks. Now, this series will take place later in the week. As of right now, the Red Sox sit at 26-21, 7.5 games back of the Rays in the AL East. They're 5-5 in their last 10. The Diamondbacks sit at 27-20. They are 7-3 in their last 10. They have a 2-game winning streak, but they're a game and a half behind the Dodgers. Now, there's a fun story behind this because our friend who is in town is from Boston. He's not a real big baseball fan, but he was at the game with us last year when we did go to Boston to see the Athletics and Red Sox in Fenway. When I asked him to pick a game, he said, was there a third option? Unfortunately, there's no third option when you come to picking games, but we are going to go split again this one, and I know my friend BJ, who is listening, he is going to be pulling for the Red Sox. I am going for the Diamondbacks. My wife is picking Red Sox in this one, so again, we are split on this series, ladies and gentlemen. But the last series we can go to, we're going to throw another Dodgers series in here, but we're going with the 2020 World Series rematch of the Dodgers and Rays. Now, this game will be in the Trop later this week, so pitchers have yet to be determined. But again, as of right now, you have the best team in baseball as the Tampa Bay Rays sit at 34-14. Their series before this will be against Toronto. And then you have the Dodgers, who are going to be playing the Braves beginning of the week, sit at 29-19. Again, for the amount of slack that we give the Rays, they find a way to keep winning. A small market team, but they are pulling wins out left and right. So again, they are just being an absolute powerhouse on the field. They do have some good news. Glasnow is doing a rehab start. He threw 6 strikeouts in his last rehab start with his return to the club on the horizon. So expect him to return back to his team soon. And when you get him back in that pitching staff, that's going to be a great addition to that pitching staff. So you have him on. That's going to be returning. You got Randy Rosna, who is just smacking the ball left and right. You got Josh Lowe, who's been an absolute fantastic player for this team. So Wander Franco again, he's got stellar bats, stellar defense. So he is just absolutely crushing it both on defense and offense right now. As for who we're picking, we're going a Rays sweep in this one, ladies and gentlemen. We are both picking the Rays in this household to beat the Dodgers this weekend. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of our show. I hope you guys had a great time listening to this. Again, thank you for supporting the show. And this episode will be out later tomorrow on all platforms, including Apple, Spotify, Google, Amazon, wherever you get your podcasts. Don't forget to download the latest podcast or set automatic and notifications when we drop new episodes. Have a great night, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll be back next Sunday with another episode of the Bullpen Podcast. Have a great night.